Hi, I'm John Martin with the Daily Helmsman Sports Show. I'm going to talk about a few things today. I am obviously riding solo today, not being accompanied by any of my reporters today. That's fine. We're going to talk about a few things today. We're going to talk about, obviously, the big news right now is the Daily Helmsman broke the story about Shirley Raines receiving the presidential nomination at the University of Kentucky and subsequently turning it down. We're also going to talk a little bit about the University of Memphis men's basketball team. They have a big game up at East Carolina today, and we're going to talk a little bit about that. So, first of all, let's talk about the development with Shirley Raines. From what I'm told, and I've talked to Shirley Raines, I've talked to Bob Off, her University of Memphis spokesman, and what I'm told is that she received the nomination for the Kentucky presidential job. That job came open a few months ago. The incumbent president was retiring, exiting, and she received the presidential nomination. She turned it down several months ago. She formally declined. And she said some of the reasons, and when I talked to her today, when I spoke with her, she said some of the reasons that she wanted to stay at Memphis was because the honors program. She's very proud of her emerging leaders program that she's got here, and she said, quote, "Kentucky is a wonderful university, no doubt, but this is a wonderful university too." And you know, it's not a surprising development. By any means. You know, Shirley Raines has been here since 2001. She was at Kentucky prior to joining the University of Memphis. She was the Vice Chancellor of Academics and also the Dean of Education up there. Also, you know, the bicentennial is coming up for the University of Memphis next year, and it was highly unlikely to me that she would take another job being so close to the centennial at Memphis, which is a huge event. Obviously, it'll be 100 years old. And, you know, she's also 62 years old. So it was, you know, when I heard the reports in Kentucky about her being linked to the search, I didn't doubt it because, I mean, but the capacity I was unsure of. So I found out she was a candidate. She was not on the search committee. She was a candidate. She received a formal nomination, and she declined. So she is your president at the University of Memphis, and she intends to stay that way. And obviously the other topic of interest this week is the University of Memphis men's basketball team, which has definitely had its ups and downs this year. They suffered a 27-point loss to UTEP last Saturday, 74-47, and things have frankly not looked good for them recently. Before they lost to UTEP, they won at Houston. They won against Houston, but they also lost to Rice before the Houston game. So 2 out of 3 pretty bad losses for the Tigers, and they face a pretty tough team in East Carolina. They travel to East Carolina on Wednesday today, and it'll be a tough rematch from earlier in January when they played at FedEx Forum, and the Tigers toughed out a 61-58 win. Obviously, East Carolina is chock full of experience. They've got experienced guards, experienced forwards. It seems like some of those guys have been there forever. And to bolster the Tigers' resume for the NCAA tournament, which is seriously in need of of just winning, they'll need to get this win on the road against East Carolina. Obviously, in the last 2 losses that the Tigers have had, 4 of 35 from three-point range, which is an anemic 11%. They're the worst three-point shooting team in Conference USA at 32% overall for the season. And really, for their fortunes to be turned around, they'll need to, in fact, get that three-point shot falling and open some things up down low for freshman forward Tarek Black, because really that's the only chance that Memphis has to win, as Tarek Black has been their most consistent player all season. So it'll be interesting to see what happens on Wednesday. It'll be a tough game. It has a lot of stakes. It'll have a lot of repercussions for the Tigers, because as it stands now, they're hanging by a thread in the top of Conference USA. They're tied for second place with a few other teams. They're a game back of UAB for first place. So it'll be very interesting to see what happens on Wednesday against East Carolina and going forward. And obviously, with the loss to UTEP last Saturday, the Tigers they lost control of their own destiny as well. Before the loss, they obviously, if they won out, they would have been regular season Conference USA champions, co-champions, I should say, at the very least. And with the loss, obviously, that's out the window. They have to win both games against East Carolina and then the home closer at home against Tulane, and then they'll need some help because again they're tied for two other teams, Southern Miss and UTEP for second place, and then UAB is a game ahead, and then there's a log jam right behind. So Conference USA this year is very close, it's very tight, unlike years past, and if the Tigers are going to win Conference USA in the regular season, they're definitely going to need a lot of help. And the NCAA tournament hopes for them right now, shady at best. It's hard to project right now. Joe Lunardi of ESPN.com's bracketology has them as one of the first teams in the first 4 out, which means obviously if the tournament started today, they would be the first team not to make the field. And if they do want to turn that around and make the field, then they'll have to win these last 2 games and obviously do pretty well in the Conference USA tournament. Their RPI is currently at 33 or so, which is probably not giving Josh Pastner too much comfort or solace right now. He'd like that to probably be in the 20s. And if he wants that to happen, he's going to have to win these last 2 games on the schedule and then a few in the Conference USA tournament.